Hey, welcome to one of our GamiCon48V pre-conference micro sessions. And I have Mary, and I just forgot, Nunaley on. I was having a conversation with Jonathan last night. I said, Nunaley, I don't know. There's no foundation on how I pronounce your name, and I had it wrong. So Mary Nunaley from Hendersonville, Tennessee, she runs a design agency called the Lavender Dragon Team. And
Yes.
so, of course, I have to ask about that, where we got Lavender Dragon. But Mary does gamification, and also she does animated videos, explainer videos. So she's taking that heavy load off your shoulders if you're wanting to add some of those dynamics into your corporate training program. So Mary, welcome. We're so excited. Unbeknownst to me, uh, Mary's son, Amadeus, has taken our certification courses, and I just never put the two together. And we love the work that Amadeus is doing. And then Mary mentioned to me, she said, by the way, Amadeus is my son. I'm like, well, that wasn't a long walk. Seems like I should have been able to get there pretty quickly, but I did not. So, Mary, welcome. We're so delighted that you are joining us today for this pre-conference session.
Yes, I am excited to be here. And from Amadeus's perspective, it's nice not to be known as Mary's son all the time.
I
So,
know.
he's his own person. And the flip side is sometimes it's not it's nice to not always just be Amadeus's mom. So I'm glad you didn't make that connection right away, but he's loved the program, loved the things that he's learning, and he's super excited to get involved. However, I couldn't get him up this early in the morning.
Yeah,
So,
it's a little early. Yeah,
well, for
even on
him, it's
Eastern,
early. He's the night owl. I'm the daytime person. But
even Eastern Standard Time, it's a little early. So yeah, you are in Eastern, aren't you?
we're central.
Oh, you are Central. All right.
Yes. Yes.
It is early then, most definitely. So let me ask first, Lavender Dragon, what is that?
Yeah. So Jonathan and I were actually talking about dragons just before we started. I've had an affinity for dragons my entire life, mostly European dragons. And I mean, even when I was in elementary school, I would sign notes to my friends, loving dragons. So dragons have always played a major role in my life. When we decided to go into business for ourselves, we were going to be purple dragon because purple's my favorite color. My son-in-law at the time was also in law enforcement and said, Mayor, you might want to go do a little bit more research before you name your company Purple Dragon. Well, it turns out that Purple Dragon is a very potent type of weed that we probably didn't want to be associated with.
I don't know, Mayor. Could have got you lots of business. Who
Could have got me,
knows?
but maybe not the kind of business that we wanted.
Yeah,
So anyway, we went with the next best thing, which was Lavender. So Lavender Dragon Team, because we are a team. And so that's how we were formed.
that's really great. That's good. So talk with me about your journey in gamification design. What got you started down this pathway?
Sure, and that's a great question. So I have always been into games, role-playing games. I'm old enough that I was one of the first DMs in my peer group when Dungeons and Dragons came out original. And so I've been playing those types of games and been interested in game strategy for as long as I can remember. Fun thing is when I was teaching at community college and my Amadeus was there, then I became the sponsor for the Dungeons and Dragons Club. So it's just running the family, and there's always some kind of game going on. When I was working in a corporate role, managing a team of about 20 instructional designers at a tech company, I really got excited about the concept of gamification. And this is before it became the all-encompassing that it is right now. So I had taken some courses on Coursera, and we decided to come up with our own gamification program, and we potatofied our instructional design onboarding. And so rather than gamify, because we couldn't sell that, we called it potatofication. And we broke down the skills, the knowledge, the behaviors that an instructional designer needed to have to be a good instructional designer. Then we created coloring sheets. We had, I don't know if you remember playing with these little sand things where you put in the different colors of sand and you
Yes,
make these.
yes.
So they got to make sand models at their desk. And so the layers of the sand were basically their levels that they were on their instructional design journey. And then when they completed their whole journey, they got a Mr. Potato Head doll because they were potatofied. What was neat though is that at their desks, at their cubicles, you could see where everybody was at on a journey. So if a stakeholder or an ops manager, somebody came up, it's like, oh, I need somebody that's good in storyline, or I need somebody that's good with animation. You could just see at a glance from their personal skills board what their skill set was. And then the senior designers also worked with them to help them increase their skills, give them projects, but it kept it fun. It wasn't just like, okay, now you have to go learn how to do variables and storyline. Now it was part of a game and it kept things exciting. So that's kind of how I got to it. We also had the advantage or the benefit of working with Yu Kai Chow shortly after his actionable gamification book had been published. So he came to the company and worked with us for several days. And so that helped us sort of bring that idea of gamification to a much broader audience.
Yeah, that's good. So what's interesting to me is gamification is sometimes a tough sell. We have many of our students in our courses whose supervisors, managers have said to them, I'm not going to pay for you to learn how to design a game or for you to design games, which of course it's faulty thinking. But if gamification is a tough sell, potatofication to me seems much tougher. But kudos to you for getting that done. And I love because again, I think it brings that autonomy and mastery to the table because as people get to, um, I'll say brag, but in a very positive way about what their skill sets are as they,
Mhm.
and then as work assignments are then selected based on particular skills and not trying to put square pegs in round holes. Like, let's find each other's strengths and let's focus on those strengths and build on those rather than trying to make somebody into something that usually when you're good at something, you enjoy doing it. So the
Yes,
better you get, the more you enjoy it. And it's just this great cycle. So that's really good. So as you think about that experience, and that was a tech company, you were just,
correct.
yeah. And so as you think about, like, if you were going to talk to that chief learning officer or the chief engagement officer, whoever the person was making the decision on how we're going to design our programs, what would be the one thing, as you've experienced gamification now, that you think that every chief learning officer should know about gamification or game-based learning?
Monica, that's a great question. I think the most important thing that everyone needs to decide is, what am I trying to accomplish? Because so often what happens is, oh, we're going to gamify it because we want to improve engagement. And so we're going to do a leaderboard and everybody's going to love the leaderboard. And as others have said, that really doesn't work. Or, oh, we're going to just put some games in there to make it more fun. But again, if the games don't have a purpose, then that's not going to happen. So we start off with our clients by asking them, what are you trying to accomplish? And how are you going to let your learners know that they've achieved that goal? I was just having this conversation actually with the owner of a dance studio where I'm taking dance classes. And I said, you've got a kind of gamified situation here in that you have levels. The problem is nobody knows what they need to do to achieve a certain level. And so you just randomly get moved on this board from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, but you haven't told anybody what they have to do. And so that's the same thing that I would say to a chief learning officer is, you need to know and you have to let your learners, your audience know what they have to do to win. I mean, it's just like, if you play Monopoly, everybody knows what you have to do to win. You have to take over the board and you have to own everything. And so it's the same thing in the workplace. What do you have to do to win?
Yeah, that's so good. And, there's a saying that I learned way back in my career, and I would love to give credit to the person I learned it from, and I don't know who that was, but um, it might be the book, The Game of Work. But in there, I learned there are three types of employees: those who know they're winning, those who know they're losing, and those who don't know the score.
Hmm.
And in my work with any kind of, I'm on faculty for American Management Association. And when I work with leaders or young leaders, oftentimes they have no idea what the score is. They don't know for themselves. They don't know for their team. They don't know overall in the department. And so that's a really difficult place to be. I mean, it's better to know you're losing because at least you understand what the rules are or the
Right.
basic how the game is scored. And oftentimes I find that people don't even know what game they're in. So that's so good when we're thinking about why are we bringing gamification in? It's got to start with what are your objectives, not, oh, this looks like something I've heard a lot about and we should do that here because it'll
Right.
be
Or
fun and engaging.
yeah,
When
let's just have points and leaderboards and stuff because that's going to get people excited. And I'd actually just sent feedback to a restaurant that has started a badges program. It's like, these badges mean nothing. Stop bothering me. I don't really care if I get 6 sandwiches and I get the sandwich eater badge. But it's the same thing with employees. And I think, Monica, to your point, Amadeus was a tennis player for several years. He had suffered a couple injuries, and folks would look at us because we would go to tournaments with the focus of better your best. Don't worry about winning and losing. And I really think that that's a message that also needs to go to chief learning officers and chief engagement officers is if you're employing a gamification strategy, instead of pitting employees against each other, which often backfires, focus on setting up a system where they can better their best. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have a much stronger team instead of, oh, well, Mary, you got to go against Steve and Steve's better at sales. And so now you're demoralized. Instead, oh, Mary, last month you hit $100,000 in sales. This month, maybe you can get 150. And
right.
so now you're competing against yourself, same gamified elements, same game strategy, but now you're more motivated because it's like, ooh, I want to do better. What's in it for me?
Yeah. And when you think about, especially like in sales organizations, in any type of sales, and it doesn't even have to be, like it could just be something that's like in a retail customer, consumer, direct to consumer kind of sale. But when we set up leaderboards like that, it's okay if I'm consistently one of those 1, 2, 3, and we're competing against each other, but you get below that and it starts to fall apart. Plus, you get these unintended outcomes that you're not developing the rest of the team because you're focused on the sale rather than the behaviors that get the sale. And if
Right.
we can get everybody focused on getting mastery in the behaviors that create the sales, then the whole organization is better. And it's just historically done, the focus is on the wrong emphasis, and we keep rewarding that rather than building up the team or the organization as a whole. And like that's like the weakest business model, like this genius with like 1,000 helpers, a top salesperson, and because that person is gone, everything crumbles. So yeah, that's really good, Mary. I love it. So when you think about what you're focused on with Lavender Dragon and what you're designing for, do you mainly do more on the digital side, or are you doing some low tech face-to-face type designs also? What's your main emphasis?
So our main emphasis is digital. Prior to 2020, we were doing more in-person, low-tech things, but what we have found is our audience has expanded and we are now more far-reaching. So trying to do that low-tech in person is a little more challenging. With that being said, that dance studio that I mentioned, we are working on a prototype ballroom dancing game
Fun.
to get people interested. So that's going to be a very low tech, because it's my new hobby. And so it's just like, well, if, where's my struggles? Where are my challenges? Let's build a game around this and maybe help other people achieve that mastery. But we really are more the digital. So,
Yeah.
interactive video, interactive learning, running game sessions online, that type of thing.
Very good. Lots of fun. Well, Mary, I hope that you'll be able to jump in on the GamiCon48V. We start our
Yes.
48-hour journey starting Sunday, February 26th at 7 Eastern. And the way that we use a platform called Remo, and so we'll be at the Legends Lodge, and it's just a delightful floor plan, and you get to actually sit at a table with 5 other people and really get to explore different design ideas and challenges and strategies. And what I love about that environment is it's always just like this one thought that helps to, it goes like, wow, I had never even thought about it, especially when different industries start mixing, and
Yes.
that's something this industry is doing and been doing. And then we're over here thinking, I never, ever even thought about that. Now, how could I bring that into what I'm doing? So I know people will want to talk to you about your work and what you're doing. And we get an opportunity to learn and grow together. So I look forward to hanging out with you at 48V. So I think we'll be on the same time zone because I get the daytime shift, 7
All
a.m. to
right.
7
Awesome.
p. Jonathan gets the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift with some colleagues that will hang out with him all night. So,
That's super
and people
exciting.
around the globe that'll be there all night. So it'll be a blast. So
Yeah,
thank you
no,
so much for your time, Mary.
you're welcome. And I just wanted to say, if you haven't registered yet, I do have a discount code. So if you go to GamiCon website and type in Mary V48 or Mary 48V, you can get a 25% discount also on your registration. And I have got sessions already marked that I plan to be at. So thank you for this opportunity, Monica and Jonathan. And Steve, thanks for joining us in the middle of the night.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Mary, that's good because Mary's discount is actually better than my discount. I'm the game master and she's got a better discount. So Mary 48V, especially in the US, that gets you a nice 25% discount. So GamiCon.us is the place to get started. You can see all of our speakers. We have over 70 from across the globe. It's a truly international conference with equitable, geosensitive pricing. So everyone on the planet who's in learning and development, it's within your means to be able to attend this conference. So we are excited to see you at 48V. And Mary, thanks for helping us get it kicked off with this pre-conference session. It's
It
been
was
great
my
getting to
pleasure.
see you, and I look forward to working with and seeing you again.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Bye-bye.